Well, I am expecting Kim, but not Lance.
Okay.
And I apologize, I forget if I got confirmation from Leroy or not.
I think he said he'd be here.
I want to say that, but
I thought I remember his email coming saying he'd be on.
yeah, I think it's showing world.
Yeah, he'll be on Zoom,
Okay.
is what he said.
Okay. So we're expecting Leroy and Kim. So we technically have a quorum.
We got a quorum? Okay.
Technically we do. Maybe give them 2 more minutes. If they're,
You want to get 2? Okay. I know it's 7. You'll get like 2 more
you're
minutes.
the chair. Sometimes people get those technical issues.
Yeah. I don't mind giving 2 more minutes. Yeah, I can go ahead and start this.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we live?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting tonight, Monday, April the 5th at 2021. Looking at the screen, appears we have a quorum. I'm Derek Parks, the chair. And we have Willie Franklin, the secretary, and we have Mr. Scott Lindsay as a member. And we, like I said, we do have a quorum. So the first item is to go through the consent agenda items, which below are considered to be routine by the Planning and Zoning Commission and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a commissioner or a citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence. Approval of the consent agenda authorizes the administrative official or designee to place each item on the city council agenda in accordance with the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations. We have 3. We have A, B, and C. We have the first one is approving the minutes from March the 1st of 2021. And we have B is to consider approving a final plat of 5 plots out of James Baker, W. Baker Survey, abstract number 35, to be known as Quinta Cinco Estrellas, and totally approximately 18 acres along Palomar Road in the ETJ of the City of Red Oak, Texas. Case number P as in Paul 21012, requested by Grupo A-Star Management LLC. Then we have the last one, which is C, is to consider approving a replat of Lot 4 to be known as Lots 4A and 4B of the Harris Subdivision Phase 1, generally located at 612 Shawnee Road in the EJ of the City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Case number P as in Paul 21013, requested by Kenneth Kelly. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions or concerns about the consent agenda items?
No questions.
No question.
Oh, okay. And also, just for the records, we do have Mr. Leroy. He's the vice chair. I see him on the call. And also, too, we see Miss Kim. She's also here. She's an alternate. And can I have a motion for the consent agenda items?
Motion moved.
Second.
Consent agenda items approved. And now we're going down to the new business, which is, we start at the letter D, is to conduct a public hearing and consider approving a residential replat of Lot 10, Block 3 in Green Valley Acres to create 2 new lots, 10A and 10B, where each lot is approximately 1 acre at 337 Meadow Lake, City of Red Oak, Texas. Case number P as in Paul, 21014, requested by Mr. Edgar Turan. And I'm gonna turn it over to the staff.
Okay. So this is, we've done a few of these before. It's a residential replat. So this is still a ministerial act platting. This is not zoning. The area is already zoned R3 single family residential. This is just simply the splitting of lot 10 into 2 approximately 1 acre lots. We're gonna follow the Texas law about again, putting this on as a public hearing, but again, this is not zoning. Notices will go out after the fact this week to people within 200 feet, letting them know that property has been subdivided. This is the second one that I know of in the area recently. It looks like in the past, others have done the same thing. So again, it's a ministerial act. This just seems to be the pattern of development, that larger lots are being subdivided into 1 acre lots. With that, I don't have anything else to say. Ben, did you?
The lots are, not served by sewer, if I remember.
Correct.
And so they're that larger size, larger than the zoning dictates, the minimum size to be, allow for septic tanks to be placed on the property. Otherwise, they're following all the, standards for platting and zoning in the district.
Okay, thank you, staff. Since this is a public hearing, for those who are for this item, could you please state your name and your address for the records? Then after we have the individuals that's for this item, we will have individuals that's against this item. So individuals, maybe on a Zoom call that is for this item, go ahead and state your name and your address, please. Is Mr. Edgar, is he on the Zoom?
Good way of jumping back.
I didn't see his name, so I'm not for sure.
I'm not seeing, well, there's a phone number I'm seeing, but no name. I don't know if that would be him or not. Information was provided.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's still interested.
Still interested, yeah, I can imagine so. Is anybody against this item? Please state your name and your address, please. If not, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Approved.
Second.
Second by Leroy. Motion approved. Any questions, commissioners, about this item D?
No questions from Franklin.
Anything,
I have no question.
No questions. Mr. Scott or Leroy?
No, sir.
Okay. And can I have a motion for this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised residential replat, conditional upon all staff and engineering comments being satisfied.
Franklin, second.
Franklin, second. Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion D has been approved. The next item we have is item E, which is conduct a public hearing and consider a zoning change from agriculture zoning district to single family R2 on approximately 2 acres out of the current site, approximately 11.4 acres, generally located at 737 Valley View Road, City of Red Oak, Texas. Case number Z as in zebra 21003, requested by Anna Gonzalez. Staff.
So with this case, it's pretty straightforward also. Our future land use plan shows this area to be envisioned rather specifically as the R2 zoning district. This request to change the land from ag to R2 couldn't be any more aligned than it is. As you may remember, there was a letter that I put into the report from the property owners. The basic idea is, it sounds like, the family's doing a little estate planning. The older parents, sounds like, they want to be able to subdivide the land for some of their adult children I don't really get into their business as far as are you inheriting or buying, but they're doing, we'll call it some estate planning. And they're looking to build homes, and so they have shown us kind of a draft of a plat that they will need to complete if the zoning case is approved. But with that kind of draft plat, it'll show the two lots. This red border is just showing the area that changed the zoning to the R2. And I don't know if I don't have it in here quickly, but basically if you can see where the little cursor is moving, that's generally the area that would divide this red shape into two lots. So there's kind of like I think just under an acre on one side and about an acre on the other. So they would, be able to meet the R2 zoning standard if you change the zoning district based on what they anticipate doing with their platting. But again, the future land use plan shows it specifically as R2. That's what they've requested. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so those in favor of this item, could you please state your name and your address, please, for the records, if you're for this item? Was Miss Anna on the call? I thought so. Anyone against this item? Please state your name and your address, please. And can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All right, public hearing has closed. Commissioners, any concerns or question about agenda item E?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, two questions. Does this R2, does that coincide with what's right across the street?
On the east side of Valley View?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, both these areas would be the R2 district. Here, I can show y'all real quick. So this is our current zoning map. Take off on the future land use. So if you can see, so this green area, this is all shown to be R2 in the future land use map.
Okay. And secondly, the planned development just, I guess, was south. Is that kind of consistent with what they will have there as well? It was like PD 74?
No, those are, I want to say they're duplexes. They were zoned a long time ago. They may just be single-family homes. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can look real quick.
It looked like single family, but maybe I'm...
There was something different about them, but I don't recall. Okay, here we go. Come on.
Just looking for the area,
they
seem like
were
they
just
just larger
smaller,
homes.
I think they were just smaller lots than,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's more so for the square footage of the lots.
I think that's what,
Because they're like 0.6 something acres.
yeah, they're not,
It's, like Ben was saying, this was done a while ago. It's not jumping out at me other than as Ben noticed the lot size. That's 0.6586 acres.
Okay, and that looks about right, just looking at the lot size from the area view, overall view. But will there be any like setbacks or build lines to make that consistent along that frontage?
yeah, when they plat, they'll show the build lines on there, and they'll be the minimums of the R2 district, which is what the comp plan calls for, which if I remember right, I think it's 25-foot front build line.
Right, and these properties over here, by the way, you know, they came and were zoned R2, so more recently than I believe the PD.
Okay,
Yeah, and we don't have any plans to expand Valley View, so we're not gonna get any right of way or require deeper setbacks to account for future right of way or anything, because it's already 60 feet, which is more than enough, so, they'll just be standard, following all the standard, R2 rules for zoning.
all right, thanks, gentlemen, that's all I have.
Thank you, Willie. And can I have a motion for item E, please?
Motion moved.
Second, as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Ayes have it. Agenda item E has been approved. Moving down the line, we have agenda item F is conduct a public hearing and consider a zoning change from residential estate zoning district to a PD zoning district for a detached accessory dwelling with garage to be less than 2,000 square feet and on approximately an existing 3-acre home site generally located at 1004 West Red Oak Road, City of Red Oak, Texas. Case number Z as in zebra 1004, requested by Mr. Felipe Ortiz. Staff, please.
Yeah, and so this location is a little further to the south, Ewell and Valley View. Zooming in here a little bit. So this red line shows the current property boundary. Boundary area is not changing. It's in the residential estate zoning district. And so what we've got here, try to get you all oriented. So the existing house here on the site plan, right? So we've got our road here, existing house. This footprint here with the boulder lines, that's where the proposed accessory dwelling unit and garage would be. So I wanted to give you some orientation. So this elevation on the right is the existing house, and the one on the left is the proposed accessory dwelling. Now this is just an elevation, so of course, as you can see, the accessory dwelling unit is set back. So these elevations, of course, are not to scale, as it were. You know, this is just giving you the elevation of each one side by side so you can see that the architecture is similar. That would be consistent with how we would do a specific use permit for an accessory dwelling unit. The issue here is that the SUP process allows for up to 650 square feet. They're doing about an 1,800 square foot accessory dwelling with a one-car garage and kind of a utility storage room next to it. Since we have the PD as a possible zoning process, and we've allowed by SUP for kind of these monster garage workshops of 2,000 square feet my advice to the applicant for him to, have his due process and make the ask to y'all is to use the plan development process for y'all to consider. Would you be okay with an 1,800 square foot accessory dwelling unit as proposed? So we use the SUP process as guidance, meaning this trying to match the architecture with the idea that, this structure should look similar to the main building, that it should look something like if both were built at the same time.
Right.
It should have that kind of look and feel. And then down here, sorry, wait for it, it's digitizing. This is a Google Street View. There's the house way behind those trees that you can barely see. And the accessory dwelling unit would be at the end of that drive, so it'd be even smaller. So if anyone had a concern about how visible it would be, now granted, Google Street View kind of distorts things for sure, but I mean, just on scale, it's going to be, see if I can make it bigger here. Yeah. So there's the house, and it would be at the end of that driveway. So it would be, still not that noticeable. Not to say there's anything wrong with it, but just saying they're making the effort to match the architecture, and it's going to be set back quite a bit. Let me get this back out of my way here. And zoom in. So what is that? So we're 125 feet from Mule Road. Sorry. I don't know what I've done.
And just to clarify, we're not talking about an 1,800 square foot house. It's the actual total is 1,906 square feet under roof. So that includes both the garage, the storage space, and the covered patio. And then the living space is only about 900 square feet. So
Right.
About half of it is kind of general purpose use versus living area. And the applicant was doing this for his, I believe, in-law,
Right.
who's an older parent.
And everything Ben said, and then the other thing is, to add into this mix is, like I say, zoning is not really supposed to get inside your house or your building. Zoning is really supposed to kind of stay more on the outside of things, generally speaking. As someone, just one way to just suggest thinking about this, first of all, is, if somebody wanted to, say, attach this to their house rather than detached, and wanted to have a third bay garage and a utility room, as it were, we'd say nothing. We wouldn't care. If they wanted to add another bedroom and bathroom, we'd say nothing. We wouldn't care.
From a zoning perspective.
From a zoning perspective, yeah. From, where we start to care is when we see that kitchen. Which again, not a zoning thing, but building code, their ears would perk up and go, why is there a second kitchen?
Right.
Granted, some people have second kitchens. It's not unheard of. I've got a neighbor with an outdoor kitchen nicer and bigger than my indoor kitchen. Not to mention some houses big enough may have it. But with that said, this we clearly understand is an accessory dwelling unit. And we see a trend in planning for more than 10 years with multiple generations or at least two generations trying to be closer together. I personally moved my parents in across the street from me. I wouldn't put them in my house. I like the detached idea, like they're proposing. But we see that trend. People, if they've got the room and the ability to do it, they're trying to keep family together, whether it's grandparents, adult children, whatever. So this does seem to be a trend. And so from that, I would say I think it's a legitimate concern and need to consider. The other thing I would add is in our zoning code, which needs to be updated, we make reference to defining family by blood.
Right.
Highly problematic. I'm not your city attorney. I'm just a planner who goes to conferences and hears from other city attorneys on their advice. My understanding is you can't really do that. I mean, for one, I'm personally adopted, so by that definition, I couldn't live in my parents' house when I was an adopted child. So by blood would be problematic alone. The other thing is my understanding from the conferences I go to is we're really supposed to stay silent on what constitutes family at this point based on federal law in case,
Right.
to just really just not go there. So I've asked the city attorney, I don't have his text back. I looked at the city of Dallas actually for inspiration, Mr. Franklin, and on how they handle some of these kind of situations. So they have some text that I kind of reworded and sent to our city attorney for him to bless or change, which basically says you can have one water meter, one irrigation meter, one gas meter, one electric meter, one sewer meter. They're on septic, but if they ever go sewer.
Right.
The point being, then you should live as a single household family unit, even if you're, different generations. The idea that, the feel of residential estate is not to really be having rental units. And that would be a typical concern why I assume our accessory dwelling unit ordinance by SUP was limiting things to 650 and talking about blood relatives. So my attempt at trying to work with the applicant, his request for this larger size and to follow the law as I understand it, and working with the city attorney, is to just focus on the meters. One
Right.
meter for one household. You're attached, detached, one kitchen, two kitchen, just let the meters speak for themselves and basically let the form, speak for itself. I'd say from an economic standpoint, I don't know why we wouldn't want to encourage more development on a single lot, because then that lot, as Ben often points out to me, will now help provide and pay for the services. And, and since it's already a larger lot, it's kind of a good thing. So this is really just going to add to the ad valorem property tax revenue and providing services. So with that, I don't know, Ben, is there anything else we need to add?
Nope.
Okay, with that, I've probably talked enough about it.
Thank you, staff. Since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open up the public hearing. And those that are in favor of this item, please state your name and your address. Please. Anyone for the item that's on the Zoom call? Anyone against this item? Or have any questions that's on the Zoom call? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Motion moved.
Second.
All right. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners, any questions or concerns or questions regarding agenda item F?
I do have a couple of questions, but since I went first a second ago, I'll definitely allow someone else to chime in first. I don't want to hog everything.
Mr. Scott or Mr. Leroy, y'all have any questions on this item, or Ms. Kim?
I don't have any questions, sir. No.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest fan of ADUs. However, what is the current code? Is it they have to get a variance for this ADU, or as long as it's not showing a kitchen, they can go in and get a permit for it? What's the current?
Well, the zoning code is written would allow by a specific use permit in this district up to a 650 square foot accessory dwelling unit, masonry, match the architecture of the main building.
Okay.
So we because they're doing something a little bit larger from an under roof perspective, we suggested that they go the PD route so that it's Just so that, because the SUP only allowed up to 600, right?
Right, and just as a footnote to that, as I mentioned earlier, garage workshops that have been done lately, we don't have a cap. You can otherwise, any other accessory dwelling unit that's greater than 650 square feet could be considered for an SUP. So we've done like 2,000 plus square foot garage workshops, you know,
Right.
approve those. So, I mean, I realize they're different, but just make sure it's understood by everyone that, you know, accessory dwelling units of this size are not, accessory buildings of this size are not unusual. But again, this is special because it's an accessory dwelling, not just an accessory building.
Yeah, I think it ends up being larger because he's kind of combining the two. So instead of having a big garage workshop and a second, like, smaller ADU, he basically is designing them into one footprint so that he's got, like I said, the majority of or about half of the area under roof is that kind of garage workshop and there's a big porch too. And then the actual living space in the unit's only about 900 square feet.
Right.
So-
Do we have any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do we
No,
have
you
anything
don't. Go ahead.
similar in area?
I did not see any other accessory dwelling units in the area that I guess would have gone through our SUP process.
Right.
Yeah, there
Okay.
may have been some older ones that had already been there, but he's also on a much bigger lot
Yeah,
than a
3
lot of the
acres.
people around him. So he's probably one of the only people that can really fit something like this on his lot. Which, again, from a staff perspective, we're always in an encouragement mode from a ad valorem tax perspective, because we allow this and all it does is, you know, kick up the value of his house by $150,000 that the city gets to collect tax on. And it doesn't really cause any more of a burden to our infrastructure system because it's all already there.
Yeah, I can understand that, but what happens when his taxes increase, he also think, hey, I can rent this out to kind of supplement the tax increase.
That's the question I was gonna ask. Could he rent this out at some point?
We'd have to ask our city attorney on, I guess, how you would prohibit the renting. So assuming you're okay with the idea that the older parents live there,
Right.
but with the idea that, well, hey, things change, and someone, you know, they could all move away and all that. That's why I went with the suggestion of put it all under 1 meter.
Right.
That doesn't explicitly prohibit you from renting, but it makes it less desirable.
Yeah, it makes it a challenge for a
Yeah.
landlord to rent it out,
Yeah.
because then they're paying for some tenants. You know, you're living in the house and the guy's running the AC at 60 all summer and you're paying for it, you know?
Yeah.
So, it just certainly presents a challenge that would, in our minds, would hope to be a hindrance to,
Yeah.
doing that.
I mean, I'm sure the city attorney might be okay with putting some language in saying, and, you know, you can't rent it, or you can't do short-term rental and all that kind of stuff. I guess the issue would be is, you know, we wouldn't have a proactive way of preventing that,
We'll prevent that, right?
So, I mean, we could certainly ask the city attorney, give us some language to address that issue on short-term rentals and long-term rentals, as it were. And at least we'll have that to point to, so if we get a complaint from a neighbor in 20 years from now, or maybe not that long, but if something like that happens and someone complains, we might then look at our code and go, oh, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that.
Right.
You know, but we just, to be clear, like, even if I know Willie knows this, the city of Dallas, but, you know, there's only so much that code will do. So I guess that was the reasoning on the 1 meter. But if y'all are feeling good but need more kind of an insurance policy, I'm more than happy to ask the city attorney about that. And of course, y'all are more than welcome to put that in your motion, that you want to direct me to ask the city attorney, or
Right.
make it a condition if the city attorney agrees or provides guidance. I just wouldn't personally know how far we can take that on the rental idea. I mean, I assume so, but I don't know.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm just, if you look at it, you got a living room, bedroom. You got double vanity, walk-in closet. You got a whole nother
And
kitchen.
it's a couple.
It's a couple, okay.
Yeah, the mother and father.
Yeah. Was that a 2-car garage? I guess one
One
here
car and,
is one
and
car.
then- yeah, so they're calling it storage. It's only got a 5-foot door, so unless it's a smart car, it's not gonna fit in there.
Right.
Yeah. So then they've got a utility room.
I'm sorry. And I'll say this, my memory is not great, guys, but this concept has been done before in Red Oak. I remember on council days, it's been quite a while, but there was a lot of conversation about this very point. So I believe, you're probably going to find out that the attorney does and has looked into some of this already, because we did battle through this and, in previous years, but again, it's been several years, so I apologize for not remembering exactly where it was at, but it did get approved.
Okay, that's good insight, Scott. Because I just from seeing these on a daily basis, again, it starts out as in-law suite and it ends up rental property,
Willie.
especially if it ever sells.
Yeah, Willie's right. Yeah.
Right.
But not to contradict, but I also don't like penalizing someone who try to go about it the right way, because we all know there are ways to go about this a different way. So that's actually kind of rising a little bit higher than my ADU concern. The fact that the applicant is going about this the right way and trying to put it all on the table and be honest about it. So I'd rather apply that than to kind of make it harder on them. But I would love to see the language about it being 1 meter, just to be on the safe side for future references.
I agree.
Brian, would that be a big issue to get that attorney to do that, or?
No, I think the meter language will be fine. It's just if y'all wanted additional protection beyond the meter language on how to address, probably the short-term rental is easy enough.
Right.
I don't know what it means for regular rental, because I just don't know. I thought there was an issue with the idea of a property owner not being able to rent their property.
Right.
But given, it seems like this would be an exception to whatever I think I remember. If I have a single family house on one lot, just that one house.
Right.
My understanding is a city can't tell that person you can't, go away and rent it out to somebody else that lives there as a single family.
Right.
But when you do an accessory dwelling unit, I don't know if that changes the legal on that or not. So that'd be a question to the city attorney. I would think the short-term rental, we could definitely get, I'm pretty sure from the city attorney language to prohibit that.
Right.
I don't know why there would be an issue with that. That seems to have been well established. The city can say, that we want to regulate short-term rentals.
But like you're saying, if you do that, it'd be hard to enforce, right?
Well, it's just proactively. Not that
You wouldn't know if they was renting or if they
We would
was.
have to get a complaint.
Yeah.
We have no inspection, monthly inspection or anything
Right,
like that scheduled. So it would have to be generated from a complaint from a neighbor.
Yeah,
Which
but it
is
would be
fine,
good to have it on the book.
Yeah, then it's
So
enforceable.
if we get the complaint, then we know, you
You better knock it off or you're
going
gonna get a citation,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So I would, like I said, I'm certainly happy if y'all put in your motion. I've already asked the city attorney about the meter language, so I guess I'm saying I want that in there. So hope y'all will bless that.
I'm
And on the
agreeing
short
with that.
term. Sorry?
He's agreeing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
I was on mute, but I said I agree with that.
Oh, okay. And the short-term rental language, I would support that. I don't know why there'd be an issue. I'd be happy to take that to the city attorney. And if y'all also want in general to look into the rental, I'm happy to ask the city attorney about that, because I apologize, I just don't know enough about that to give you a better answer than I'll ask the city attorney.
Right.
Yeah, and I've done some research, and from what I remember, I'm pretty sure it's an inalienable Texas property right that you are allowed to lease or rent your property. So I don't think you can, but again, like Brian said.
With the accessory dwelling,
with
does
the
that
acce-
change
yeah,
anything?
Does it change it? I don't know, but,
Yeah.
you're 100% right on, if you just move out of your house, you can run it and no one can tell you can't. Now, some cities try to enact things like a landlord has to have like a license. They make landlords get licenses and do yearly inspections, or they have to do an inspection every time.
Right.
I think Lancaster actually does it, if I remember right.
I think so.
But that's extremely burdensome for a city from a staff perspective. Then you gotta hire a whole new
Their building
department,
officials
basically.
quit over it, I believe.
Yeah. But that's one way to try to regulate rentals, but I think what it does is it really just hinders the city more than it helps it.
So yeah, if in y'all's motion, if y'all think you want meter language and short-term, and we'll just call it long-term, rental language, I mean, you know, no issues with that. Happy to take it to the attorney. Like I said, I'm already pushing the meter language because I think that's sort of like just an easy, not perfect fix, but that's like an easy adjustment.
Okay.
And I've talked to the property owner about that weeks ago, that, you know, we'd be looking at that
Just
option.
1 meter, pretty much.
Yeah, and yeah, he was fine with it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. That makes sense.
and like, as Ms. Franklin said, you know, the guy has so far been very transparent, has, you know, been very forthcoming. He does seem to be trying to do things the right way, which is what we want people to do.
Right.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
And it's
And,
not,
can,
and it's not the only house in that neighborhood that has an additional dwelling on their property, because several houses in that addition do. So I think it'll look, from an aesthetics perspective, I mean, it'll look like the other houses in the neighborhood.
okay. And can I have a motion for this item?
Yeah, I don't mind making a motion since I opened this can of worms. But the language, we should include contingent on a meter. Is that what you said, Brian?
Single meter.
1 meter?
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, what I had spelled out with the city attorney was that 1 meter for electric, irrigation, water, and sewer. But I think for our purposes, you could just simply say, you know, 1 meter per utility. Whatever makes it easier for your motion. I think we've discussed it and understand the detail.
Okay. I motion the approval of item F, contingent on the installation of 1 meter per utility.
And did you want to also ask for the short-term rental and long-term rental protections, or?
Definitely short-term and long-term rental protection, pending guidance from the city attorney.
Okay.
I'll second it with that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any noes? Agenda item F is approved. Last item on the agenda is a staff update, dealing with the comprehensive plan update and a new parks and trails master plan.
So, I don't have too much to say. We've had a stakeholder meeting the other month, and seems like that went well. That included members of, basically included all of the P&Z Council, EDC, IDC, mayor, and Parks Board. So they served for stakeholders. And what we have coming up is our next steering committee meeting on May 6th. So I'll be sending out invitations for our steering committee, which is a much smaller group. And the consultant is kind of working in their little black box phase, I suppose, taking all the input they've had, doing some analysis. But I don't really have anything, I think, yet to really share. Hopefully that will change soon. But we're excited to see what comes next.
Thank you, Brian. And can we motion to adjourn?
So move.
A second.
All right,
Good night.
motion approved. The meeting has adjourned. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, commissioners.
Have a
Thanks,
good night.
guys.
Great job.
Do I need to stop by and sign anything, as secretary, or can that be done by the chairman?
I know.
Things by the,
Yeah,
Sure.
just let, chairman sign and that's the only technical signature we need.
Yeah, Willie, you
Okay.
can watch the game. That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I was courteous.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for your offer.
All right, fellas.
thank you.